Hello class, I just want to make a quick video. Um, this is going to be like less than 10 minutes. I just want to remind you all a couple of things before you submit your second essay. I've seen some of you already submitted your essays, but after I cover a couple of things here, if you need to amend anything in your essay or include anything, you can resubmit your essay. I think you have two attempts, but just make sure that you pay attention really quick to what I'm going to cover here, okay? So the essay instructions are the same, uh, essentially, as your first essay. So you have to argue something about one of the texts, right? Either in the book or here in the module, right? But what you're going to do here is you're going to analyze a poem, and the poem is poetry's a little more difficult to analyze, as you some of you may have already or may be experiencing right now. It's not so easy, right? The purpose of this assignment is to explain your ideas about the poems in a well-organized essay. So you will argue a claim you have developed about your interpretation of the poem and the significances of this claim. So you're going to argue something about the poem. This is your interpretation, and it shouldn't be something so obvious. It should be um, something fresh, right? For all parts of your argument, support your interpretation with specific textual examples. This is very important, y'all. Um, I noticed in your last essays, which there were a lot of issues in your first essays. Um, and mainly the main issue for most of the essays was that there were no specific textual examples being used. So you were just, I'm not saying everybody, but a lot of students were only mentioning parts of the story and telling about the story. You need to show with quotes and specific examples from the text. So if you're talking, it doesn't, it's not enough to just talk about the poem, but show me with parts of the poem. Say, in this line, and then quote the specific line, right? You must quote and paraphrase passages from the text and cite in a MLA format. So don't just paraphrase either, right? Paraphrase means put it in your own words. You could put some parts in your own words. I would rather you just you quote the actual lines from the poem and then go on to explain what those lines mean, okay? And then you're going to cite it in MLA format. Um, the way to cite poetry is not the same as your as citing short stories, okay? You need to cite the line numbers, okay? And all that information, I'll show you where you can find that, but that's on the Owl at Purdue. You can find that at the Owl at Purdue. You can also just Google how to cite a poem in text in MLA, but the Owl at Purdue should have all that information on how to cite poetry, because you need to cite the in the parentheses. It should be the line number in the poems. Okay. Now develop a strong, clear thesis statement that articulates the meaning of the poems you have chosen. Your thesis statement should answer this question: what is the poem about? Your essay should then support the thesis. Right. Always have a thesis statement in your first paragraph. Now, it's important to consider all the elements of poetry. There's that link. It might be a link or a handout that I posted a couple weeks ago in one of the first modules. I think it might be the first poetry module, where it talks about the elements of poetry. Discuss those, right? So the speaker, the audience, setting, plot, structure, imagery, diction, language, tone, sounds, rhythms. All of this stuff is important, guys. In poetry, it's not enough just to talk about what the poem's about. Yes, it's important, but also set aside a paragraph or two to talk about how the poem is working regarding structure and the elements of poetry or the metaphors being used, imagery, um, figures of speech, all that, okay? So often dividing the poem into more accessible parts, although you should not depend solely on the poem's superficial structure for your essay's organization. So, in other words, avoid writing chronologically as you would write in a poetry explication by starting out. In line one, the poet says, if you're trying to make a point about what the poem is trying to say, you could start at the end of the poem and then work your way forward, to the beginning, or, different, just take out different parts. Don't go line by line in order, right? State your thesis, whatever it is you're arguing about the poem, and then um, to support that, you would just, you know, quote or cite different parts of the poem and not necessarily in order. Okay. So your essay should be 2 to 3 pages in length, double spaced, include at least two outside sources to support your argument. Another issue in your first essay, guys, was that the sources, you all were including sources in your works cited page, but you weren't including the sources inside the text of inside the body of the essay. So you need to include these sources as support. Find sources that support your argument and use those to say, well, you know, Professor such and such from this university also agrees with this analysis because they also mentioned that, and then you can quote whatever it is they say in their article or, the source that you have. But these sources that you have in your works cited page, they should serve to support your argument. Okay, so don't just include them in your works cited page and not even include them in your essay in the body of your essay. Include them somehow. Write about what they discuss, why you're using them, how they're working to support your argument. Okay. Also, if you have them in your work in the body of your essay, make sure they're in the works cited page. It goes without saying. So that's pretty much it for this analysis, guys. It's not hard. Poetry is difficult. It is very difficult, but you should, you know, um, take this extra week that I gave you guys, since it's not due till the next Sunday. Take it and work on these essays carefully, methodically, um, and don't since I've been mentioning this all semester, use AI. A lot of AI generated essays last essay. And I know this because AI doesn't do a good job. I'll just tell you this before I finish this video. AI does not do a good job of following instructions. So if you put all of this, all of this information into AI, into Poe.com or into ChatGPT and have it write you an essay, guess what? It's going to be missing a lot of this information and a lot of, and I'm not going to tell you what it's going to be missing, but it will be missing information. So make sure you just do your own work. You're not relying on AI to do your work for you because it's going to be another failing grade if you do. So um, I think that's about it regarding this, guys. It's due next week. If you're having issues with citations, remember to just go back to the beginning of the semester and I think it's in week 3, um, MLA general format. Is it this one? Go to this link, which is a Purdue University OWL, and they will give you all the citation information here on how to cite MLA, how to cite poetry, all that. Okay, so this is an invaluable resource for you all. Make sure you visit this page and check it out when you can while you're writing this, and make sure you look at the rubric for the essay, which um, states specifically the criteria that I will be using to grade these essays. Okay, so I will talk to you guys soon. If you have any questions, please do not hesitate to email me and get in contact with me. But good luck with these, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Okay.